kampuksena koko maailma.
Hi there. In this exercise, I'm going through basics on how to work with filters and layers in Photoshop. All the files are in the Moodle. After this exercise, you can continue with other tutorials. To speed up things, all the files in this exercise are PSD. If you have to work with JPEG or PNG files, you only have to change background to layer to modify them, the same as we're using here in this exercise. I will show you an example. I'll just open my picture here, and as you can see on the layers on the right side of the Photoshop, the file is in background mode. Just right click, layer from background, rename it. I'll rename it as Tommy, and now you're all done. I'll just close that one. Let's start from the scratch. So we have nothing in here. So file and new. Let's open a new file. In here you can choose some basic resolutions, basic stuff you can use in photo, print, art, illustration, web, mobile, film and video. Let's take some basics. So I will use, for example, print, letter A4. Let's take a little bit smaller. So let's take B4, and B4, and on the right side, orientation. Let's take portrait, resolution 300. That's pretty big. We don't need that much. So let's put 150 there. Color mode. If you're working with the screens, if you're working for online material, always use RGB. If you're working on print, you can change into smooth colors. That's really the basic rule, but that's good enough for this basic exercise. Background, we are not using background, so it doesn't matter what color it is. And then just create. And now we have the basic white background, and we want to get rid of this background. So I'm just clicking on the layers, right click on the background, layer from background, and just rename it PG white if we just need it at some point. Then I'm just closing the eye. So layer visibility is off. And now we have the transparent background. Let's start creating the ground and the brick wall. So on the left side, there's a foreground and background color. By default, they are black and white. So I'm just clicking the foreground color, and I want to use a dark gray. So you can see all the color settings here, and I'll just drag this circle up a little bit. You can see the values are changing, so I'm using dark gray, so I'll just use RGB. Everything is 70. Just drag it up until you find 70, 70, 70, and that's good enough. Press OK. Then we want to create a new layer. On the bottom right corner next to the bin, trash bin, there's a create new layer button. It creates a new layer. I'll just double click it and rename it as ground. Like that, and I'll keep it selected. Then I can use the ground using, for example, a rectangle tool, or I can select an area and then fill it with the color I want. And let's do that. So on top left corner, there are rectangular marquee tool as by default what you can choose. So I'll take that one, and we want about 1/3 of the our artboard covered. So I'll just drag a little bit bigger than the area, so I'm selecting everything like that. If you want to remove it, always remove the selection after you've done it, because basically you can't do anything before removing the old selection. So it's Ctrl D, or you can go to select and deselect to remove the selection. Let's do it again, just so. Rectangular marquee tool, 1/3 of the bottom, just drag, and now I have selected that one. And we have the color we need, so I'll just take the paint bucket tool and click inside the selection. Now we have the dark gray ground. And I also want to remove the selection, so Ctrl D or select deselect. This is pretty boring, so let's put some texture in it. So let's go to the filter and filter gallery. This remembers the last things I've done here, so I'm just removing these. Delete effect layers is there on bottom right, so I'm removing 2 of those 3 filters I have used previously. And then you can see change. You have artistic, brush strokes, distortion, sketching, stylizing, and texturizing stuff. For this ground layer, let's take texture and texturizer. And there on the right hand side, you can select sandstone like that. You can change the scaling, how big your sandstone is. I'll just put it somewhere like 100. So basic, and relief, how much relief you want on your sandstone. Just 10 is okay. And where do you want your light to come from? Let's take bottom right. Okay. And we don't need anything else for this layer at the moment. So let's press OK. Then create another layer. Bottom right corner, create new layer button. Double click. We want the wall. Like that. Same thing, let's take the rectangular marquee tool and select the top of the artboard, and make sure you select so there's no transparency between the wall and the ground. We want to create a brick wall, so let's change the foreground color from dark gray to something more brick. So I'll just drag the narrow color selection and drag this one up, so I'll find some that resembles a brick color, red brick, and then press OK. Use the paint bucket tool, click there, Ctrl D or select deselect to remove the selection, and then we can go back to the filter gallery. Now when I'm opening the filter, you see 2 filter colors. The one on the top is the same we used before, so if I'm selecting this, it creates sandstone. So I'll take the next filter gallery. We all are already in texturizer, so I'm just changing texture from sandstone to brick. I want bigger brick, so I'm changing the scale. I'll just put it to maximum, so 200. Relief, how much relief I want. I'll just take it to, I think 10 is 9 or 10. Let's take it to 10. And light, we want the same direction of light, so let's use bottom right, and okay. Also, a good habit of doing is you can lock the layers. So after you have done with the layers and you don't need to change them anymore, you can lock them. So on the layer side there's a lock there, lock all from wall and ground, and background is invisible, so we don't have to do anything with that one. And also when you're creating new layers, it creates layer on top of that layer that is selected there. So if I'm creating new layer now, I have ground layer selected, it creates new layer between ground and wall. So just remember to drag them on the right direction, right order. I'm choosing the wall layer, then create a new layer, double click and rename it as blue window. We are creating kind of imaginary window on the brick wall. So we want the color to be sky blue. So before selecting anything, let's just go to the foreground color and change that one into something like sky blue. Okay, I'll take that. Then press OK. To make now we use the selection tool. We can also use rectangle tool. So there, just on the left side, you find the rectangle tool. You can also choose just press and hold the small triangle, and you get other tools. So you have rounded rectangles, ellipse, polygon, line, custom shapes there. But we'll just use the basic rectangle tool. If I want to put it in the middle to be more exact, I can go to the view, show grid. So it's easier to put it in center if I want to. I'll just go here, create sky blue window. And after I'm done with the tool, I'll just go to top left and check the move tool so I don't do any misclicks accidentally. Also, when you're tracking, you get those purple lines to help you align stuff, or you can use the align buttons there on top. So I can use align horizontal center, so it puts the window in the middle or rectangle. Okay, I'll hide the grid, I don't need it. So view, show, and grid. I want the window to be a more imaginary window because this exercise is pretty like a child's play. So I'm taking the eraser tool there, just above the paint bucket tool, and on the you can see if I'm moving it there on top of the window, it doesn't let me do anything, because if I'm here it says shape must be rasterized before proceeding, rasterize the shape, and I don't want to do it at the moment. The thing is, there's bitmap graphic and there's vector graphic, and bitmap graphic is kind of restricted to the resolution, and vector graphics you can change the size and shape without losing any quality. So we can kind of work around that one. I'm going to the layer section on the blue window layer, right click and convert to smart object. That kind of helps a little bit, but still some of the filters or tools I'm using, it still requires rasterizing the layer or the effect, as it does here. So I'm clicking here, it says still it must be rasterized. Okay, let's press OK. Now I can change the size and kind of opacity and flow. I have the brush size now at 120. I'll just drag it down a little bit. I'll put it like 90 pixels. A little bit bigger. Let's put it 100. Yeah. And then the hardness of the brush, I'll put it to 0, so it's more soft. Opacity 100. Yeah. Flow means when I'm erasing stuff, how much of the layer it erases, and in one stroke. So we'll keep that to 100. Same thing with the flow. Smoothing the edges of my erasing, 50%. That's okay. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of some of these corners and kind of rectangular shapes. So I'm just going to the top left corner and just press and start dragging to make it more kind of interesting. Now I'll do this again just to show you. My brush hardness is 0, so it creates a soft corners, soft edges. I'll just press Ctrl C or undo. I'll go to the selection again, change the hardness to 100, and do this again. So whether you like soft or like sharp edges, you can decide which one you want to choose. Okay, here's my window. And again, when I'm done with this, I'll just go to the Move tool to avoid any misclicks. That's it. Let's start inserting more stuff here. So I'll just take File, Open, childsplay folder. We have PSD files here: boy, butterfly, eyes, big and small lizard, and paint cube. Let's start with the big lizard. I'll just open it, and it looks like this one. So what I want to do is I'll just rename the layer from object 1 to big lizard. And what else? I want the lizard to be other way around, so I'll just turn it here before dragging it to the picture. So I'll just take it doesn't matter where you do it, so I'll just take Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Then I can just drag it a little bit to get it in the picture. When I want the layers or to be moved from one picture to another, I can just drag with the Move tool. I'll just drag this layer to another picture and drop it there. Now we have the big lizard in here. So let's move it and reset, change the scale again a little bit. So I'm taking Edit, Free Transform or Ctrl T. I want to be a little bit bigger, so I'm holding the Shift button so that the width and height stay the same all the time, and drag this one a little bit bigger. I'll move it here so that I can see a little bit of the tree and the claws inside the blue area. like this. Then I'll accept the changes, commit changes there on top center, like that. Now we can use the blue window as a border. That's called clipping mask. So the basic idea is that the borders, which kind of restricts the area, is on the just below the area that we are using. So big lizard on top, blue window just beneath it. Select the big lizard, right click, and create clipping mask. Yeah, that looks nice. And I can still move this if I want to fit it nicely inside the window. Let's bring up the colors a little bit on the big lizard. I can use, if I want, I can use. I'm not using adjustment layers on this exercise. On the right, I can take adjustments and add adjustment layers there, or I can go to image adjustments and do basically anything with the colors. I'll just take the easy way out, and I'll take the color sponge. It's there on the tools just below the paint bucket tool. If you can see it, just press the little triangle there. You'll find the sponge tool. And on sponge tool, it's a color sponge, so you can add or remove the saturation in the picture. So mode, saturate, and again flow, how much color and vibrance does it add on one stroke. So let's keep that to like 30 or 40%. If I'll take the size, by default I have 66, and I'll just bring it up a little bit. Let's put it 80 pixels. Let's take it to 100. I think that's pretty okay. Hardness, again, I want on this occasion the brush to be pretty soft. So hardness is 0. Then I'll just go on top of the lizard and start press and hold on the mouse key and start tracking here. So wherever I'm moving, it adds 35% of saturation and vibrance on one stroke. I'll just do that. I want this white to be more saturated and vibrance. Also the reds, the greens on the cheek, and then I want the glows to be more kind of scary. So I'll just drag them couple more times. Be careful when you're using this on, for example, on people, because you can overdo it really easily. Okay, now we have the big lizard, we have the blue window. We can lock those layers like this. And then again, I want to add another layer there, so I'll just select the top layer so the new one comes on top of that. So let's do it the same again. File open, it goes to the right folder by default. Let's take the small lizard. Open this one. Okay, I have the small lizard. I'm taking the selection tool, rename the layer, small lizard. Oops. Like this. Then I'll just drag this one to our picture. Let's take the free transform, edit free transform or Ctrl D. I'll press the shift button to remain the proportions. I'll make this lizard a little bit bigger, and I go on corner of the lizard so it changes to the curved arrows. I can turn this and I'll just put it there on on the corner of the blue window. And when it's on right place, I'll just click OK there on top, like this. And then I can do same thing we did with the big lizard. So I'll just take the sponge and just drag a couple of times on top of the lizard to bring out the saturation and vibrance, like that. Then I can close the layer, small lizard, just like the others. We used the create clipping mask. We can do that again. So I'm closing this big lizard window, not saving the changes. Same thing with the small lizard, not saving the changes. And also, because we're working on, at least I'm working with Windows, so at some point these programs can crash. So remember to save your project. So we can do it at now. So file, save as. I'm saving this to the same folder we have all the other files, so they're easy to find. Edit, child's play, just like that. Let's do another clipping mask. So file open. We have the eyes and we have the butterfly. I'll just control click so I can open both of them. So I'll again click the move tool so I don't do any misclicks. So we have the eyes, and the eyes go inside the butterfly. And as you can see here, eyes are bigger than butterfly. So let's work with that. Okay, we have the eyes here. If you have different names on the layers, just double click and change the name the way you want. Let's start with the eyes. I'll just drag it here. Now child's play window. Now I'll do it again. Just drag. Wait until it's in the right place and drop it here like this. So I want the eyes and butterfly to be on top left of this blue window. Yeah, I think that's about the right size. Then I'll take the butterfly, rename butterfly. I'll drag this into our picture as well. Do it like this. As you can see, it's a little bit. I have to change the angle and change the size also a little bit. So butterfly, let's take the free transform, Control T, turn this a little bit so it's on the same angle as the eyes. I just move it a little bit so I can get the eyes inside the butterfly and the nose. Something like this. Let's press OK. And then same thing what we want. We have to change the order on the layer section. So eyes have to be on top and butterfly just beneath it. And same thing we did with the big lizard. So right click on the eyes, create clipping mask. And we have the eyes inside the butterfly. There's this kind of distracting blue corner of the window. So I'll just control click both of these on the layer and just move the butterfly a little bit, and then we're done. Now the butterfly, if I want to do something, it kind of blends into the background. If I want the butterfly to kind of get it out of the brick wall, I can add some layer styles into it. So on the bottom right corner there is FX layer style button. Just click that and you'll get different kind of layer styles. Let's take something. Drop shadow would be pretty easy, but let's do something else. So let's take the outer glow, like that. So we have the outer glow, blending mode. I haven't gone through any blending modes, so let's just use the screen. Opacity. Let's turn that down a little bit. I don't want any noise there. Noise adds. Yes. Then the size, spread and size kind of dictates how this thing looks. So I'll put the spread to 40% and the size, I'll put the size a little bit bigger. So it kind of removes the edges like that. I'll put it to 100%. Then with the opacity I can just decide how strong the glow is. Just put it like 50% or something and then press OK. Well, it doesn't look natural, but it's not supposed to be. Just an example how to work this layer style. I'll choose. We don't have to do anything with the eyes or the butterfly, or I'll just lock those windows and click the top layer, which is eyes at the moment. When we're working with the text, you don't have to do a new layer because that does it automatically. So we want to add text there on the blue window as well. Let's choose the color. I'll take the bright yellow. So click on the foreground color and take the yellow and I'll just go to there and press OK. Then I can take the text tool. Again, if you click the triangle there, you get different size of horizontal type, vertical type, or you can use type as a mask tool. So you can get kind of what's inside the fonts comes from the layer below. So on that way you get really nice backgrounds on your fonts or textures. Let's just take horizontal type tool. There on the right you have also this character window. If you don't have it here, just open window and character so you can get it open. And here you can just change whatever you want with the text. So I have the yellow text, I have the text tool. I'll just click here and write big C childs, press enter, play, like that. Now with the text tool still selected, I can just select this text and change the font size and other things I want. So let's go to the paragraph first and make sure we have the left align, then back to character. This is in Myriad Pro. It's with good font but pretty boring for this. So I'll just take anything that looks kind of unofficial and a little bit childlike and has a lot of kind of body inside the font. So I don't want any skinny fonts. I have the kind of this one, looks Ravie. I'll take this one. If you don't have this font, just take any that kind of that pleases your eye. Okay, there's Child's Play. I'll just go here and change the font size a little bit bigger, like this. And there's the kind of bold. You want it bold or not bold? I'll take the bold. I don't want the italic, or I don't want anything else here. All caps, and does not look nice. So I'll just take the bold. Font size on the right, just right to the font size. There's the leading, so kind of the space between the lines. So I want the lines to be pretty close. Oops. I'll take that. 48, so the lines are pretty close to each other. What else? There's tracking, distance between the characters. I want the text to be pretty close, so on default there's -50. If I put it to 0, kind of increases the distance between the characters. I'll just use -25 here. Also, you have the zoom or scaling horizontally, and you can change vertical scale there as well if you want. And the corners, the edges of the font, you can change it there. I want to use crisp or sharp to make the edges to be sharp. So I'll just take this as a sharp, like that. That looks nice. Then I want to change some of the colors into red. So let's take some characters and change them into bright red. So I'm just clicking the foreground color and take the red and take the bright red there. Now I still have the texture selected, so I'll just take, for example, H and I, and click foreground color and press OK. And I'll check D and apostrophe again, foreground, press OK. Let's take the P, same thing, and let's take the Y. And then I'll just take the move tool. Let's add more character into this text. Now it's kind of still look a little bit boring. So we have the Child's Play layer selected. Let's go to the filter and filter color again. And again it says the same thing. By default, the text layers are vector graphics, so you can rescale them without losing any quality. So let's take the convert to smart objects so we can keep the quality. And again, when you come to the filter color, it uses the last filter, and we have the brick texturizer here. What we want to do is we want to do, let's find it here. On artistic, there's the plastic wrap. So it wraps the layer to the plastic wrap, and let's just use the highlight strength a little bit up. Let's put it like 15. Details, do you want the details or not? Let's put it there in the middle, so it's 8, and smoothness how smooth I want this plastic to be on top of my layer. Let's keep that in the center as well. So 1588. We can add more filters there on bottom right. I'll just add new effect layer, and it kind of uses the same filter and same effects as a default. And actually we can use two of these. Let's put two plastic wraps on top of each other. Looks nice. So let's take the third effect layer. It actually looks more nice. So let's keep three plastic wraps on top of each other and take fourth one. And let's change that into, let's put a glass on top of that. So I'll just find the glass here. It's on distort glass. And what kind of glass do we want? We have frosted glass, glass blocks, glass canvas, and tiny lens. Let's take the frosted glass. Same thing, distortion. How much distortion do we want on this glass? I want the plastic wrap to show, so I'll take the distortion down a little bit, actually quite a lot. Let's put it to 2 or 3. I'll just use 3. How smooth I want this glass to be. If it's on really low, it doesn't look that nice, so I'll just put it there in the middle, so I'll use 7 or 8. And the scaling of the frosted glass, you can just choose big or small the way you like it. I'll just go to the small scaling, about 60%. So we have 3 layers of plastic wrap and then 1 frosted glass on this layer. Let's play OK. Now it looks much nicer like that. What else do we want to do? Let's add some layer style there to kind of get it out of the blue black background. So on the bottom of layers there's this FX style. What do you want to do? Let's take the bevel and emboss like this. So bevel and emboss, do you want the bevel to be outside or inside? Let's take the outer bevel. Technique smooth. What else we want? How deep I want this to be. So let's put it big, like 400% or something. Direction, I want the bevel to be on top or up or down. I think up looks nicer here. And then size and soften, I'll just add it a little bit. Let's put it like little over 10. I'll use 10 pixels. And do I want it to be soft or hard? I want it to be hard, so I'll keep the soften to 0 pixels. Shading angle, where I want light to come from. Well, we used bottom right on the brick wall and the ground, so I'll just take the angle there on -48 or something. Use global light, yes. Altitude, how high I want the light to come. I'll just put it more up. I'll just take like 60 degrees. Highlight mode screen, that's okay. Opacity, do you want how much opacity do I want? I'll just put it there in a 50. And what kind of shadow do you want? Shadow you see over there. Black shadow, 50% opacity. That looks nice. If I want to add more stuff there, actually do pretty much nothing here. So let's settle with the bevel and emboss with these selections and options. Just press OK. Now it comes out from the blue background much better than without the effect. And also you can, it's a nice thing, you can close the effect if you want. You can go to the layer section, effects. I can close the effect so I can see what it looks with or without the effect. A couple more things. Let's add the child there. There's a boy, but before adding the child there, let's add more lighting effect, because the ground sandstone looks pretty boring at the moment. So I'm just locking the child's play text layer and unlocking the ground layer and selecting the ground layer. You can use different filters to add more kind of interest to that layer. You can use layer styles that we used on the butterfly and on the text layer. I'll just use some basic lighting effect filter. So filter, just remember where it is. It's filter and render. You can create clouds, you can create lens flare, which are pretty popular. You can do freeze or whatever you want. I'll just take the lighting effects. Just like that. So you have lots of presets there if you want to choose some of them. You can use triple spotlights, you can use floodlights. There's also 5 lights down. That doesn't look pretty nice here. You can use flashlight if you want. I can drag it here. So you have lots of nice presets here as well. Yes, let's use 2 o'clock spotlight as a base of our light. It looks like this. And what we can do is we can change it the way we want. So if I'm going here, I can change the scale. If I'm going, I can move it down a little bit so our light comes to the sandstone. I can drag and change the rotation. Still move it a little bit, and then on the properties on the bottom right, on the top right, color and color intensity. Okay, let's use the white color. Change it here if I want. Color intensity, how intense I want the color to be. I'll just keep it under 20. The hotspot, how big I want the hotspot to be. That thing in the middle. Now this is too big, so I'm going here and scale down a little bit this light to get more fixed into this. Thing. And all the lights are coming from bottom right on the sandstone, on the brick wall. Also here on child's play, the color is coming from bottom right, so I'm using bottom right here as well. I can rotate it a little bit. I can make this bigger. Scale this bigger. I can take this outside here. Just find the right options. How do you want the light to be here in the sandstone? And use something like this. Also, if I want to colorize exposure, I can use different lights and different settings. Do I want it to be gloss or do I want it to be metallic? The color, I don't want it to be glass, so I'll just take the glass minus 60. Do I want light to be metallic? Yes, so I'll put it up to like 40%. Do I want to add ambience light? No, not that much. So I'll just keep it to somewhere around 20. And then when I'm done, I'll just press OK. So this lighting effect brings lots of character to the layers. I use that quite a lot because it's easy, simple to use. Again, I can lock the ground layer. I don't need to do anything with it anymore. Then we have the boy. Let's take the. I'll just choose the top layer and then file. Actually, we can close the butterfly and the eyes. We don't need them anymore. Not saving the changes like that, and then we can open the boy. Looks like this. Double click the name and change it boy. Now we can do the adjustments here as well. So as you can see, well, we can add the color sponge, but I want to change the brightness of this boy a little bit. And again, on the tutorials on how to work with the colors and things, using the adjustments layers is kind of it's the best way to do it because you can change them afterwards. But at the moment, I'm just going through the basic stuff, so I'll just take the image, adjustments, and brightness and contrast is there on top. And what I want to do is I want to add more brightness to bring up the shades and light on the left side of the face. Also, the contrast, I want to remove some of the contrast to bring it more solid like that, and then press OK. And also we can use the color sponge. I'll just take the color sponge, it's quite big, so I'll just take the size down a little bit, around 50 or 60. And like I said before, be careful when you using the sponge over the skin, because the skin turns into red or yellow pretty quite easily. So I'll just add saturation and vibrance to the jeans and also the yellow shirt, but I'll just avoid the skin. I can do a little bit more, just a couple of times on the skin and also the hand, but not too many times because it starts to turn red pretty quick. Okay, that's it. Let's take the move tool and drag the boy where the rest of our stuff is. Okay, the boy is pretty small, so free transform, Control T or edit free transform, just press the Shift key. I'll just make the boy a little bit bigger and just put it here and commit changes, accept the changes, and let's add layer style there. Let's put drop shadow to the boy. So FX drop shadow, and actually what I have here, the default settings looks pretty nice. So I'm using black shadow, I'm using blend mode as a multiply. Opacity, let's take the opacity down because if it's 100, that's not really looking very natural or actually very nice. So I'll just take the opacity down to 25%. The angle, all the lights on the other layers are coming from bottom right, so I'll take the angle to -48 or -50 or something like that. Distance of the shadow, I'll take it far, so 120 or something. Spread, I want the shadow to spread as well, so let's take it to like 25%, and size, I'll put the size to like 50 pixels, and then just work with these selections and opacity to make the shadow the way you like it, and then press OK, just like that. There's one more thing to add here. So file open, let's open the paint, rename the layer paint cube, and then drag this here as well. Just put it here. We can also copy paste the effects. Now we have a drop shadow on the boy. We can put it to the paint tube as well. So I'm pressing the Alt and drag the drop shadow effect from boy to the paint tube, and like that we have the same effect there as well. Doesn't look that realistic because tube is, well, let's change it a little bit. So I can go to the paint tube, drop shadow effects, double click it, and I'll just take the distance closer to make it look a little bit more realistic. I'll take the distance to like 50 pixels and press OK. Not do anything else with it. Okay, one more thing. Let's add some paint on the sandstone, and let's add some light blue paint there to bring the window and the boy and the paint together. So let's take the eyedropper tool there on the tools and left click the light blue background, so we'll get the right color. Let's add this to new layer. So I'm locking the boy and the paint tube layers and select the top one, which is the paint tube, and add a new layer. Double click this and this paint. Now we can take the brush tool and just make some kind of pool of paint there on sandstone. So on selections, there's a brush size and brush hardness. On the right side of that, there's a brush settings panel. Let's click that one, and it opens there on the right size with the other settings. So let's take smoothing, wet edges. What else do I want? Color dynamics, texture to dual maximum. You can choose everything except the protect texture. I don't need that one here. And what kind of brushes are we using? I can change the brushes, and we have general, dry, wet, and special effects here. So I'll just use wet media brushes and Kyle's Inbox classic cartoon, like that, and the size is by default 30. If I'm moving there on the layer, that's pretty small, so I'll just notch up that a little bit. It's bigger. I can also go to brush settings and change this into something more. I can change, for example, On the third row, there's this 174 drag mixed grays. I can try to do how it looks here. So that looks pretty nice. So I just made a pool of paint there between the boy and the paint tube, and then just take the move tool, and that's about it. Basic tools: how to work with layers, how to move things from layer to another, how to lock layers, uh, how to use clipping masks, how to use layer styles, how to work with the filters. So that's pretty good basis to start the other tutorials. So have fun.